The gavel descends with a crack that quiets the courtroom. What ensues is not business as usual in court, but the disentanglement of a tale millions used to believe in. The Browns presented themselves for more than 10 years as a united front, a family united by their faith, by sacrifice, and by something they referred to as the family pot. It was their finest icon. An assurance that no matter how chaotic life would get, every dollar they made, every check from the cameras, every book they sold or business they started up, would go into the pot equally. The concept was straightforward and potent. Fans envied it, other families scoffed, but the Browns held it aloft like a banner against skepticism. "We share everything," Kody would declare, his tone assertive, his gaze challenging anyone to disagree. Robyn seconded him, her smile gentle but unshakable, while Christine, Janelle, and Meri nodded for television, even when their inner voices spoke differently. To the public, the family pot was off limits. But today, in this courtroom, that picture is breaking down. Stacks of papers line the judge's bench, their pages filled with transfers, account names, and numbers that do not jibe with the family's public story. In neat black ink, a new picture is unfolding, one that depicts money moved quietly, funds reallocated, and an LLC that seemed to just suddenly appear, almost as if it was waiting for the optimal moment. Christine leans forward, her body strung with the tension of betrayal. Janelle's lips press into a thin line, her firm composure cracking with the knowledge that years of sacrifice could have been devoured whole. Meri looks down at her hands, twisting them apart in front of her, as if the truth is more than she can bear to look at. And to the side of Kody, Robyn's face flashes between control and anxiety, her hands gripping a folder that no one else has opened. On the prosecutor's desk lies a small stack of CDs and a flash drive. They don't look like much. Almost ordinary, the kind of things you'd pass over without a second glance. Yet inside them are the words that turned this case upside down. Hours of voices captured when no one thought they were being heard. Words about loyalty, money, and family. Words that hint at planning, secrecy, and perhaps betrayal. The room grows silent. Everyone knows there will be no turning back once those tapes are played. The family's biggest lie, the one pot that held them all together, is going to be put to the test on the world stage. Was it ever real? Or was it the ultimate cover for something else altogether? And the most haunting question of all, who recorded those tapes, and why would they risk it all to reveal the truth? First off, subscribe to Sister Wives Daily Scoop before we get into what the court documents and these mysterious tapes uncovered. You won't be able to wait for what's coming, for when you hear these voices for yourself, you'll never see this family in the same light again. The courtroom is colder now. Not with the air conditioning, but with the heaviness in the air. Every rustle of paper, every cough, every creak of a chair sounds louder than it should. The judge puts on his glasses, reading through the pages before him, as the lawyers prepare their opening arguments. Christine can't be still. Her hand slaps against her knee, her lips compress so hard, they become white. She had always thought that if something ever did go wrong, at least the money would be secure. They had agreed to it, hadn't they? Every dollar made would go into the pool, then be divided up equally. That was the pact. That was the bond. But as the prosecution lawyer stands, clearing his throat, Christine is aware of glue splitting apart piece by piece. "Ladies and gentlemen," the attorney starts out, his tone stern but controlled. "What you're about to hear is not merely a dispute about figures. This is about betrayal. This is about trusts being broken, promises being betrayed, and a family reputation painstakingly preserved in public, while, in secret, cash was being redirected into secret accounts." Eyes flick about the courtroom. Janelle's brow is creased, face inscrutable, but her knuckles clenching white on the wooden bench. Meri shoots a quick glance at Robyn, who fixes her stare straight ahead, not flinching. Kody fidgets in his seat, loosening his tie as if it now chokes him. The attorney goes on. For years the so-called family pot was held out as the image of harmony. What the public didn't realize is that while the wives put in their dollars, while Christine and Janelle labored to support the family, while Meri invested her time and her aspirations, a different entity was being built in the background. An entity that was run by only two individuals. Gasps ripple across the room. The attorney doesn't speak the names aloud, but everyone knows whom he refers to. The ensuing silence is deafening, as if the whole room is drawing a collective breath, waiting for the next punch. The defense attorney jumps up, objecting. Speculation, he snaps. But the judge shakes his head. Overruled. Proceed. Christine shuts her eyes for a moment. She recalls the years she spent selling jewelry late into the evening, doing her part, thinking her work counted. She recalls the sacrifices, the lost holidays, the constant shooting. She thought all of it was part of creating something greater, something enduring for their children, and now, it is a lie. The prosecution unfolds the papers, deposits from joint accounts into a company with a different name. Payments channeled stealthily, masquerading as expenses. A chronology that fits perfectly into the years the finances of the family started to tighten. The jury leans in, even the judge takes longer glances at the documents. Then the first recording. A CD glides into the player, and the gentle hiss of sound fills the air. A voice appears, low, measured, but unmistakable. It's Kody. We can't make them aware of everything. If they believe the pot is smaller than it really is, it keeps them motivated. They'll continue working, continue contributing. They don't need to be aware of all of it. Christine's head whips up. Her mouth drops open in shock as the words ring out in the courtroom. Janelle exhales a little, shocked breath. Even Meri appears taken aback, her eyes flicking to Kody as if she is seeking denial, some kind of explanation. Kody doesn't glance around though. He looks down at the table, jaw clenched, his hands folded in front of him. The faith that once united them is now no longer cracked to sit. It's shattered into a million pieces. Nobody can glue back together. Robyn leans in close to him, saying something nobody else can listen to. For an instant he nods, but his face remains ashen. The prosecutor leaves the recording suspended, the silence almost too much to bear. Then he presses play again. A second voice is heard, this one quieter, tremulous but clearly audible. It's Robyn. But what if they discover? What if Christine starts asking questions? She already suspects. Kody's voice comes back quickly. Then we tell her it's for tax. Or for emergencies. She won't pry if she thinks it's for the children. The courtroom fills with whispers. The judge strikes the gavel to bring order. But it's too late. The family pot myth, the holy pledge of togetherness, is breaking in front of everybody's eyes. Christine covers her face with her hands. Janelle shakes her head slowly, as if she can't believe the words she just heard. Meri's expression is unreadable, but her eyes glisten with the weight of yet another betrayal. Kody finally lifts his head, his eyes roaming around the room. For a moment, his mask falters. Not the confident patriarch. Not the man who once persuaded millions to have faith in his dream, but a man trapped in his own web, backed into a corner by his own voice. And the tapes have only just started. The tape cuts off with a weak click, but the damage remains like smoke in the air. No one moves for an instant. Christine slowly lowers her hands, her eyes bloodshot, her chest rising and falling, as if she's having trouble breathing. Janelle dips forward, saying something to her, but Christine barely registers. Her reality feels torn apart. On the other side of the aisle, Robyn pushes her seat back, her hands clasped together in her lap, as if willing herself to remain calm. Her face gives nothing away. No guilt, no fear, only the studied calm that she has maintained for years in front of the cameras. But her quiet is louder than words. The prosecutor moves toward the jury box. What you've just heard, he says, his voice firm but intense, is a clear admission that the so-called family pot was not equally shared. It was manipulated, it was controlled, and it was used as an instrument of power. Whispers ripple again. The judge raps the gavel once, but the whispers persist like agitated waves. Christine's voice finally shatters the quiet. Not loud, not to anyone in particular, but so that people close by can hear. He lied to us. All those years. He lied. Janelle puts a hand on Christine's arm, her own face hewn from stone. Meri sits forward, without blinking, her mind impossible to decipher. The air is charged with tension. Each look, each breath is like it could set off the powder keg that rests between them all. The defense lawyer stands suddenly, attempting to take back control. These tapes are out of context. My client was talking about prudent financial measures, not dishonesty. Caring for a big family takes adaptability. But the prosecutor holds up a hand, flexibility or deceit. Because in this case, there is a very real distinction. He gestures to the jury, brandishing another CD. And this is just the tip of it. The disc goes into the player. Another hiss, another delay. Then Robyn's voice once more, gentle, beseeching. I don't like it, Kody. If they knew the truth, everything would be ruined. Christine would never forgive us. Kody's response this time is icier. Christine doesn't need to forgive us. She just needs to continue believing the tale. As long as she believes the pot is for everybody, she will continue to put in. That's all that is necessary. Christine gasps loudly, her hand reaching to her mouth. Her body trembles as the words ring in her head. Janelle clasps her hand, now holding her close, anchoring her as tears fill Christine's eyes. The betrayal is no longer a thought. It's a voice, living, real, ringing through the courtroom for everyone to hear. The defense panics, objecting once more. But it doesn't matter. The jury has heard enough already. They look at Christine with pity, others at Kody with incredulity. The prosecutor doesn't hit play once more. He doesn't need to. He allows the silence to hang heavy, the recording still echoing in everyone's minds. Christine slouches towards Janelle, sobbing, all those evenings, all that effort, and he was taking advantage of us. Taking advantage of me. Janelle slowly nods, her own eyes glistening. We put everything in the pot, she says, her tone low but laced with anger. And he gave us nothing. Meri says something for the first time, not loudly, not passionately, but with a cutting sharpness. We knew something was wrong, she says in a low voice, staring ahead. We just didn't want to admit it. Robyn finally responds, spinning toward her. That's not fair. You don't understand. But Christine stops her, her voice shaking but vehement. Don't you dare defend this. The judge raps the gavel a second time, commanding order, but the harm has already been done. The courtroom is no longer merely a legal war zone. It's an emotional war zone. A battle of broken faith, of hurts too deep to conceal. Each secret unearthed seems like one more nail in the coffin of what was once a family. The prosecutor advances again, his voice softer now, nearly somber. This isn't about money. It's about manipulation. About people who trusted each other being manipulated for selfish reasons. And as you'll see us go on, the pot was never a pot of unity. The pot was a pot of control. Kody slowly raises his head, his gaze fastened on Christine. For the very first time, he speaks. You think you know it all. His voice trembles but he makes himself sound strong. You think everything is so black and white. You have no concept of what it takes to keep this family together. None of you do. Christine's eyes flash with anger, her tears smoldering now. You don't get to say that. Not after everything you've taken. Kody settles back in his chair, his body sagging under the weight that's pressing down, unseen. His eyes are glassy, moving from the jury to the judge, to the packed gallery of cameras and faces he doesn't know. He has always excelled when in charge, when he could dictate the story, but now the story is telling itself. And each word slices deeper. Robyn fidgets uneasily, her hands burrowing deep into her skirt. She speaks in a whisper to Kody, but he doesn't respond. She tries again, pleading with her eyes until at last he yanks his arm back, saying, "Stop." The rift between them, once carefully concealed behind joint fronts, is now starting to fracture in full public view. The prosecutor pauses, letting the silence work, and then he stands up, walking towards the jury with the calm confidence of a man who knows that the truth is already seeping into the marrow of everyone who is hearing it. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard the tapes. You heard the papers. And now you heard the voice of a man who lived under the very system Mr. Brown said was fair, equal, and honest. But the fissures in that tale are no longer fissures. They are large gashes, and they cannot be ignored. Kody's jaws clench. He glowers at his lawyer, saying in a furious whisper. The lawyer attempts to placate him, but Kody's hands come down on the table once more. The thud startles Christine, who glares daggers at him. Your Honor, the prosecutor goes on. We have further evidence that will shed further light on the magnitude of this fraud. Before we go any further, however, I request a recess. The judge nods, as if recognizing the court needs to catch its breath. Very well. This court will recess for 20 minutes. The gavel slams. The whispers erupt immediately. Christine sits bolt upright, charging down the hall. Janelle tries to follow, her voice low and panicked. But Christine can't hear her. She needs air. She needs room. She needs to scream. Out in the corridor, cameras click. Reporters mob. Microphones advance. Christine covers her face, rage pouring out in a raw, fractured cry. He lied to us. He lied to all of us. The world beyond the courtroom is filled with cacophony. Clips are live-streamed. Headlines typed in real time. Christine Brown breaks silence in courtroom scandal. The news is no longer confined to those walls. It is spilling into homes everywhere. Inside, Robyn sits in her seat, head down, tears streaming down her face. For once she does not pursue Christine. She does not defend herself to the audience. She just sits, shaking. Meri stays at the table, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. Her gaze wavers toward Kody, who sits rigid and angry. Once, she would have taken his hand, spoken soft words, urged him to hold on. But today, something within her is changing, crumpling under the truth she can no longer deny. For the first time in years, Meri glances at Kody, not with love, not with devotion, but with stunned disbelief. The bailiff leads the family to different waiting areas during recess. Christine stalks like a tempest bottled up inside a box, her words gushing over to Janelle. I knew it. I knew he was lying. But hearing it from our child. God, Janelle, it broke me. Janelle is nodding, her voice thick. He can't hide anymore. This is the start of the end, Christine. Christine's voice shatters. The start of the end, no Janelle. This is the end, and I will ensure it. In the living room, Robyn sits in the corner, holding a tissue. They don't get it, she whispers to herself, rocking back and forth. They don't get what he was doing for us. Kody glares at her. Stop crying. Do you think this is going to help? You think staying here and crying makes you sound innocent? His voice is hard, venomous. Robyn steps back, tears streaming harder. His lawyer breaks in, firm but soft. You have to remain calm. They've got you on the ropes, and the jury is already sympathetic to the prosecution. Don't give them anything else to hate you for. But Kody doesn't listen to him. His world is falling apart, and he knows it. Recess is over. The court is brought back into session. Christine comes back with red eyes, but stiff shoulders, resolve set on her face. Janelle comes back next, serene but resolute. Meri comes in last, slow movements, deliberate, as if each step requires superhuman effort. Kody and Robyn return, distance more apparent now. Side by side, they sit and lean away from one another, the space between them filled with unspoken guilt. The prosecutor resumes, this time with documents displayed on the screen. Transfers, secret accounts, signatures, dates that perfectly correspond with the recordings. The jury leans forward, each slide a nail in the coffin. Christine clutches the edge of the table, her knuckles white. Janelle nods once for every bombshell, her anger reduced to something harder and icier. Meri looks at the screen, her mouth opening in horror, as she makes the connections herself. Robyn has her head down, unable to confront the evidence. Kody sits stiffly, his jaw working, eyes flicking to the jury, as if pleading with them to look the other way. But there is no going back now. The truth can no longer be whispered in doubts or suspicions. It's printed in ink, brayed in voices, chiseled in the minds of those who live to tell the tale. The gavel rings once more. The proceedings of the day are closed. but the tempest has erupted stronger. The family stands, broken and scattered, each step ringing out like the breaking of a foundation that had seemed impenetrable. As Christine exits the courtroom, she spins around, her gaze searing into Kody's back. She mouths, barely loudly enough for the cameras to pick up, "You can't bury the truth anymore." The courthouse is the hub of the world the next morning. The block is a chain of cameras, reporters shouting names, flashes exploding like lightning. Within, the benches become crowded, not only with onlookers, but with faces from the past, estranged relatives, former neighbors, even friends who once smiled at family barbecues, are there now in silence, anticipating to hear what truth will come out today. Christine enters first, her chin held high, her movements calculated. Yesterday's storm still adheres to her, but it has become steel. Janelle is not far behind, silent but firm, her very presence an unyielding anchor. Meri stands at the door, her face impassive, caught between worlds. And then Kody and Robyn arrive. He comes forward as if attempting to assert authority, but the eyes that once worshipped now scowl. Robyn has her head bowed, her purse clutched tightly, her face white. The judge enters, the gavel comes down. The room goes quiet. The prosecutor moves with haste. "Your Honor, members of the jury, we are now ready to present a new witness. One who has personal experience of the financial transactions and personal relationships that we have heard about in this courtroom." Kody stiffens, his gaze narrowing. His lawyer leans forward, hissing something in urgent tones, but the prosecutor is already facing the door. "Bring in the witness, please." The doors open, a murmur waves through the courtroom, as a recognizable figure emerges. It's not Christine, it's not Janelle, it's not even one of the kids. It's a retired family accountant. The man strides steadily, his shoulders stiff, his jaw clenched. He takes the oath, then sits, his eyes never leaving Kody. "State your name for the record," the prosecutor says. He does. Then the interrogation starts. "Did you work for Mr. Brown and his family to manage financial accounts between the years in question?" "Yes." "Did you have access to all principal accounts, including family money and personal transfers?" "Yes." "And while you had your hands on those accounts, did you notice any improprieties?" The accountant takes a slow breath. "I did. Serious ones." The jury leans in closer. Christine clutches the lip of her table, her heart racing. Kody shakes his head wildly, cursing, "This is absurd." The prosecutor moves closer. "Would you tell us about those improprieties?" The witness looks over at the jury, then at Kody. Large amounts of money were regularly transferred out of the joint family account and into private accounts in Mr. Brown's name. Some were identified as business expenses, others emergency funds. But when I requested documentation, there was none. No receipts, no invoices, no explanations. Robyn presses palms to face. Kody slams hand on table. "Lies, absolute lies." The judge raps the gavel. "Mr. Brown, calm down." The accountant's voice remains steady as he continues. "Initially I considered it might be negligence, but then I saw patterns emerging. Whenever one of the wives raised money issues, Christine in particular, transfers were made soon after, as if to plug holes before questions could bore too deeply." Christine's breath is caught. She had assumed, but from an outsider confirming, she feels her observations bringing a pang to her chest. The truth is no longer rumor among wives. It is confirmed, irrefutable, and now on the public record. The prosecutor smiles. "And were there occasions when Mrs. Brown, Janelle or Christine, asked for statements or records, and were refused access?" "Yes," the witness replies resolutely. "I was expressly instructed by Mr. Brown not to give them complete information. He said it would only cause drama." The jury whispers, shock written across their faces. Christine hides her face in her hands. Janelle has her eyes closed, fists clenched in her lap. Kody is trembling with anger now, his voice thundering through the courtroom. "You don't know what it's like to have a family like this. You think you do, but you don't. All that I did was for them." Christine bursts into a sitting position, her voice cracking. "For us? You stole from us, Kody. You lied to us. You lied to the children, and left us shattered while you lived in luxury." The judge raps the gavel again. "Order, Order in the court. The air is suffocating. Even the air is thick, heavy with rage and sorrow. The prosecutor allows the silence to hang before posing one final question. As your professional opinion, was there blatant, intentional financial wrongdoing in these accounts? The accountant glances at Kody, and then at the jury. Yes, without question. The courtroom explodes. Gasps and whispers. Camera clicks. Christine leans forward in her chair, tears streaming once more, but now combined with vindication. Janelle sets her jaw in grim satisfaction, nods once, and looks away. Meri stares down at her hands, her body shaking as if torn between splintering apart and clinging. And Robyn? She is crying outright now, her sobs ringing out in the shocked silence. The defense panics, calling for cross-examination, but the harm is done. The jury heard, the public witnessed. The truth has finally been told by one who has nothing to win, and everything to lose. Christine reaches out to Janelle, whispering through her own tears. It's over. He can't talk his way out of this anymore. But Janelle shakes her head gently. Christine, with Kody, it's never over until the last breath. He'll fight this to the end. And as if vindicating her words, Kody swiftly rises to his feet, his voice hoarse, laced with fury and desperation. You think this family can exist without me? You think they'll care for your sob stories when the cameras move on? You'll all be nothing without me. The judge bangs the gavel so loudly it booms like thunder. Mr. Brown, another tantrum and I will hold you in contempt. But Kody's words linger in the air like venom, leaving everyone traumatized. The courtroom has changed once more, no longer merely about dollars, but about power, domination, and whether what was once referred to as a family will survive. The courtroom buzzes with a tension that is almost intolerable. Every seat is occupied, every pair of eyes focused on the front. The walls themselves appear to bear the weight of what has transpired. The tapes, the testimony, the fissures in Kody's carefully constructed empire. Christine sits stiff, hands locked together, eyes ablaze with pain and determination. Janelle is leaning towards her, white-knuckled and steady. Meri stands behind them, small and brittle, as if the truth is destroying her bit by bit. And Robyn, who's holding on to a tissue so hard it shakes in her hand. When the gavel comes down to continue, the sound slices through the quiet like a knife. The prosecutor stands up slowly, his gaze sweeping the room. Your Honor, members of the jury, today, we will unveil the last pieces of this tale. We have watched where the money went. We have listened to the manipulation. But what we are about to unveil shows the extent to which this fraud reached. Kody's jaw tightens. His knuckles go white as he tightens his grip on the edge of the table. He says something to his lawyer, but his words are just loud enough for the gallery to overhear. This is a witch hunt. The prosecutor looks away from the witness stand. We call our next witness. There is a hush. The doors open, and in strolls one of Kody's older children. Gasps spread through the room. Christine leapt to her feet, her hands shooting to her mouth. Janelle murmured a prayer under her breath. Robyn tensed, her face growing even whiter. And Kody, for the first time, appears to be afraid. The grown woman, once a little girl, proceeds slowly to the stand. She takes the oath, her voice shaking a bit but audible. The time feels dreamlike. A child who once followed Kody's leadership now sits poised to testify against him. The voice of the prosecutor is soft. Tell the court in your own words what life within this family was like, when it came to money and decisions. The witness swallows hard, looking momentarily at Christine, and then Janelle, before finally looking at Kody. Their voice trembles at first. It was like Dad had complete control. He determined where money went, what we could buy, what Mom could spend, and if anyone questioned things, they got shut down. Christine brushes away tears. Janelle nods, nibbling at her lip. The prosecutor coaxes gently. And how was that growing up? The child's voice cracks. It made us feel like Mom didn't count, like her concerns didn't count. And whenever she wanted answers, we were told she was being dramatic. Dad said that. He told us not to listen to her. Christine weeps in the open, her body contracting on itself. She had known, but to hear it from the lips of her own child is a wound deeper than any legal institution could inflict. The treachery is no longer monetary. It is intimate, familial, and it slices through the very center of the family. The prosecutor steps back, letting the words hang heavy. The defense attorney rises quickly for cross-examination, his tone sharp. You're emotional, understandable, but you're also young. Isn't it true your father provided food, shelter, opportunities for you? The witness's head nods slightly. Yes, but that doesn't change the way he used us. We were pawns in his battle with Mom. He manipulated us into questioning her. He made us take sides when we just wanted to be at peace. The defense attorney stumbles, tapping nervously on his papers. The jury leans forward, each word cutting deeper. Kody can't keep quiet anymore. He bangs his hand on the table, his voice thundering. That's enough. You don't get to stand there and lecture me like I'm some kind of villain. I sacrificed everything for this family. Everything. The judge's gavel thumps. Mr. Brown, sit down. One more outburst, and you will be ejected from this courtroom. But Kody's eyes are crazy now, his voice unfiltered. You think you know me? You think you know what it takes to be the head of this family? If it wasn't for me, none of you would have had anything. Not a place to live. Not food. Not a surname. I created all of this. The gallery bursts out in whispers, reporters writing furiously. Christine's face sets through her tears. Janelle glares at him with sheer contempt. Even Meri, formerly the most faithful, shakes her head slowly, her lips opening in disbelief. And Robyn, she looks at him, wide-eyed, her tissue dropping from her fingers. For the first time, she doesn't jump to his defense. She doesn't speak. She simply looks as if suddenly seeing him for the first time. The mask is stripped away. The head of the household has come out from behind it, and the picture is much uglier than anyone wished to think. The judge calls for a short recess to restore order. As the jury files out of the room, Christine mutters hotly to Janelle, "He's killing himself." Janelle nods, speaking softly, and he doesn't even notice it. Meri remains quiet, her vision far away, lost in a tempest of remorse and understanding. She has waited years for him, remaining when she should have departed. And now, faced with the truth, she questions whether she ever knew the man she gave her life to. Robyn addresses Kody, as the room empties, her voice a shaking whisper. "Kody, what have you done?" He doesn't respond. He can't. He simply gazes at the table, his hands trembling, his empire disintegrating before him in real time. For the first time in years, Sister Wives' family is no longer held together by loyalty, secrecy and fear. They are held together by the truth, and it is destroying them. The courtroom hangs silently, heavier than ever. The jury returns, their faces somber. The judge takes his seat. The gavels ring, a reminder that the end is finally at hand. Christine sits upright, her tears-bruised eyes burning with determination. Janelle stands firm beside her, serene yet unyielding. Meri is delicate and white, her hands clutched together, her lips trembling as if suppressing decades of unspoken words. Robyn sits at a distance, her frame small, shattered, her face smudged with mascara-tainted tears. And Kody, he doesn't resemble the self-assured patriarch who once ruled a home. He resembles a man, bare-faced, cornered, desperate. The prosecutor stands, his voice flat but dynamic. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've heard the tapes. You've seen the papers. You have heard the testimony of the people who lived within this family, and even of the children who paid the price. This case is not about a man who erred. It is about a man who exploited trust, who silenced voices, who used family not as love but as leverage." Christine closes her eyes, the words flowing over her. Janelle holds her hand beneath the table. The prosecutor's voice becomes more biting. At its core is not merely money. It is control. It is betrayal. It is the institutional breakdown of trust. And now the question is easy. Will we let those voices continue to be silenced, or will we see what they suffered? The room is silent. Even the air stills. Kody's lawyer stands up fast, his voice close to panic. "Members of the jury, remember, this is a family, not a company. Families are messy. Yes, there were errors, harsh words uttered in rage, money squandered. But this is not criminal. This is family life, messy and misinterpreted. Don't let passion cloud your eyes to that reality." Kody nods angrily, slamming the table with his fist. "That's right. You don't know what it takes to be a leader. You don't know the sacrifices I made. But now the words ring empty, echoing off walls no longer hollow. Christine rises abruptly. The judge pauses, but lets her continue. Her voice trembles, but cuts like glass. Sacrifices? You call what you did sacrifices. You took everything from us. Our money, our choices, our voices. You used our children as pawns. You destroyed what we built, and then told us it was love. That is not sacrifice. That is cruelty. Janelle stands too, her voice low, even, but charged with fire. You addressed yourself our leader. But true leaders protect, not exploit. True leaders listen, not silence. And true leaders do not sit here, vulnerable, still attempting to manipulate the truth, when everyone can witness the harm you did. The jury's eyes are fixed. The gallery leans forward, hearts racing. Meri stands last. She speaks softly, her voice shaking, but each word weighs years. I was with you longer than anyone. I stood up for you when others wouldn't. I convinced myself I was faithful. But the reality is, I was scared. Scared of being alone. Scared of losing what I believed was my family. But today, it is clear to me. I can see what I should have seen years ago. You did not want a family. You wanted control. And I am no longer able to defend that. The silence that comes next is total. The wives, once split, now stand in tacit solidarity. The fortress Kody constructed for decades has finally collapsed, not with evidence alone, but with the voices of the women who endured it. Robyn weeps into her hands, her frame trembling with uncontrollable sobs. She says through tears, I thought you loved us. I thought you loved me. Kody faces her, his face contorted in fury and desperation. I did all of this for you, for us. But the words don't hit their mark. They ring hollow, meaningless echoes of a lie that never happened. The judge clears his throat. This court has heard enough. The jury will now deliberate. The jurors exit. The room hums with tension, terror, and finality. Christine closes her eyes, muttering to herself. Janelle looks straight ahead, unflinching but firm. Meri shakes, but she does not waver. Robyn sits in stunned silence, rocking gently, shattered by the reality she can no longer escape. And Kody looks at the floor, his chest laboring, a man witnessing the kingdom he forged crumble before his eyes. Minutes are like hours. The jury comes back. The foreperson rises. Clutched in his hand is the verdict. The judge inquires, has the jury reached a verdict? Yes, Your Honor. The paper is passed on. The judge reads, his expression unreadable. Then he speaks. The room erupts with gasps and cries. Christine clutches Janelle's hand, tears streaming down her face. Meri collapses into her seat, sobbing quietly. Robyn hides her face, unable to look at anyone. Kody's face drains of color, his mouth opening in silent disbelief. It is over. The verdict is in, and nothing will ever be the same. Christine rises, her voice firm through her tears. We're free now. Janelle nods. Yes, finally. Meri whispers, nearly to herself, I can breathe again. The cameras record it all. The wives walking out of the courtroom, as a group, solidified in truth at last. Reporters yell out questions, microphones waved in front of them, headlines already blazing across the internet. And Kody, he stands alone in the back, surrounded by silence, his shadow cast across the floor. A man no longer feared, no longer followed, no longer believed. The sister wives clan has fallen, not in a bang, but in the truth. Harsh, painful, unavoidable. And now the world waits to find out what is to come. If you've been following along with us on this story, I want to hear from you. Do you think justice was served? Do you think Kody ever really loved his family? Or was this all about power? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read each and every one of them. And if you'd like to continue with us for the next installment in this evolving drama, be sure to subscribe to Sister Wives Daily Scoop. This drama may have reached its conclusion in the courtroom, but the discussion is just getting started.